Bava, metzia, Mishnah 56a. The following are not subject to the laws of overreaching as far as pricing: the purchase of slaves, bills, real estate, and sacred objects. There is neither double repayment nor fourfold or fivefold repayment in their case. The gratuitous bailee does not swear on their account, nor does a paid bailee make good or watchman. Rabbi Shimon said, 656b Bava metzia, sacrifices for which the owner bears responsibility are subject to the laws of overreaching. Those for which one bears no responsibility are not subject to thereto. Rabbi Yehuda said, also one sells a scroll of the Torah, an animal, or a pearl. There is no law of overreaching. Thereupon they, the sages, said to him, the law of overreaching was enacted only in reference to these. Gomorrah, how do we know this? For our rabbis taught, and if thou shalt sell unto thy neighbor and acquire of thy neighbor's hand, this applies to that which is acquired by pass from hand to hand, thus excluding land which is not movable, slaves which are assimilated to landed estates, and bills, for it is written, if thou sell a sale, implying that which is intrinsically sold, intrinsically bought, including bills which are not intrinsically sold or bought, not and exist only as evidence. Hence it is said, if one of these bills sells to a perfume dealer, they are subject to laws of overreaching, but surely that is obvious. It is the subject of Rav Kahana's view that overreaching does not apply to the purchase involving only prutas. Therefore we taught that overreaching applies to prutas, sacred object. Scriptures say, one man shall not defraud his brother, but not hektish. Rabbi B. Mamal objected, whatever his hand is written is not literal as stated, and he took all his land out of his hand. Does that mean that he shall hold all his land in his hand? But rather it must mean one out of his possession. Here too it means out of his possession. Therefore his hand is not written literally as taught. If the theft certainly found in this hand, it shall restore double. From where we know the law only is found in his hand, once we know it is his roof, courtyard, or enclosure, from the phrase, it certainly be found, implying all circumstances. Hence, this is only because the divine law wrote, it must be certainly found, otherwise I would have said that his hand is written, hand literally, and is taught, then let him hand her a bill of divorcement and give it to her hand. Thus I know that he can place it in her hand, once I know it in a roof, court, or enclosure. He shall give it, implying any manner. Does the law of overreaching apply to hiring or not? The divine law said, if thou wilt sell a sale, implying but not hire. Perhaps there is a difference. Said Abai, it is written, a permanent sale, and defined sale is stated in this too, for its day has been sold, it was sold. Rabbi propounded, what of wheat which was sown in the soil? Does the law of overreaching apply there? It's just as though he had placed it in a pitcher, hence subject to the laws of overreaching, or perhaps he assimilated it to the soil. But what are the circumstances? Shall we say he declared, I cast 6 measures therein, and the witnesses came and testified that he sowed 5 only instead of 6? Rav said, on account of any fraud in measure, weight, number, but even if less than the standard overreaching, one can withdraw. But the necessary arises when he declared, I cast it as much as was necessary. Subsequently revealed that he had not sown it with as much as required, is subject to the law of overreaching or not. It is though he placed a pitcher, hence the subject of the overreaching. Perhaps he assimilated the soil. Further, is an oath taken concerning it or not? It must be though he placed it in the pitcher, and therefore the oath must be taken. Perhaps he assimilated to the soil, and no oath is taken. Perhaps an omer of the food or not. What is meant? It took root. Thus we learned that the seeds took root, bringing of the omer. The omer permits them. If not, they are forbidden until the bringing of the next omer. This arises only if he reaped and resowed what is in the omer. Then the omer came wet, and he did not take root before the bringing of the omer.